How did the Green River Killer manage to evade capture for nearly 2 decades? In today's video, we dive into the chilling 19-year reign of terror by the Green River Killer. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel Court Capture, and hit the bell for more true crime stories. The Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, terrorized the Pacific Northwest for nearly 2 decades, claiming at least 49 victims between 1982 and 2001. Known for his chilling ability to evade capture, Ridgway targeted vulnerable women, primarily sex workers and runaways. His crime spree earned him the moniker Green River Killer after the bodies were discovered along the Green River in Washington. Despite multiple investigations, Ridgway remained elusive until 2001 when DNA evidence finally linked him to the murders. His arrest shocked the nation, and his case became one of the most notorious in American criminal history. Early life and background of Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway was born on February 18, 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah, to a turbulent family. His father was abusive and his mother was emotionally distant, which shaped Ridgway's troubled upbringing. As a child, he struggled with low self-esteem and had a fascination with violence, even reportedly reenacting violent acts with his toys. Ridgway's early adulthood was marked by failed marriages, and he had a deep-seated hatred for women. He worked as a truck painter in Washington, where he meticulously hid his dark desires, ultimately becoming one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. The first known murders. Gary Ridgway's first known murders occurred in 1982 when he began targeting vulnerable women in the Seattle area, many of whom were sex workers or runaways. His first victim, Wendy Lee Caulfield, was last seen in July 1982. Ridgway strangled her and discarded her body near the Green River. Over the next few years, he continued to prey on women, leaving their remains in remote locations around the area. Ridgway's pattern of choosing women who were often marginalized or overlooked allowed him to evade detection for years, establishing him as one of the most notorious serial killers in history. Modus operandi. Gary Ridgway's modus operandi was chillingly methodical. He primarily targeted vulnerable women, often sex workers or runaways, whom he picked up in his truck. Ridgway strangled his victims with his bare hands, or a ligature, a method he found less messy than shooting. After killing them, he would often transport the bodies to remote locations, such as wooded areas or near the Green River, where he dumped them. He took great care to avoid leaving evidence, often washing the bodies and sometimes revisiting the crime scenes to ensure they remained undetected, making it difficult for investigators to connect the murders. Victim profile and methodology. Gary Ridgway primarily targeted young women who were sex workers, runaways, or marginalized members of society, believing they would be less likely to be missed. His victims often had troubled backgrounds, including substance abuse or unstable home lives. Ridgway's methodology was cold and calculated. He would lure his victims into his vehicle, strangle them, and then transport their bodies to isolated areas, often near the Green River. He carefully disposed of the bodies to avoid detection, sometimes revisiting the sites to ensure they were hidden. Ridgway's ability to evade capture for nearly 2 decades was due to his meticulous planning and victim selection. Victim profile and methodology. Gary Ridgway's victims were primarily vulnerable women, sex workers, runaways, and women with troubled backgrounds. He chose victims who were less likely to be reported missing quickly, allowing him to evade detection. Ridgway's method was methodical. He would pick up his victims, often in secluded areas, then strangle them, usually with a ligature. He carefully disposed of the bodies in remote locations, particularly along the Green River. Ridgway often returned to the crime scenes to ensure his work went unnoticed, sometimes washing the bodies to remove any evidence, making it difficult for authorities to connect the murders. Investigation and challenges. The investigation into the Green River Killer spanned nearly 2 decades with significant challenges. In the early years, authorities struggled to connect the murders, as the victims were often sex workers or vulnerable women, making them easy to overlook. DNA testing was not advanced, hindering identification. Additionally, Ridgway's meticulousness in hiding the bodies and lack of physical evidence made it difficult to track him. The case became one of the largest and most complex serial killer investigations in history. It wasn't until the late 2000s, with advancements in DNA profiling, that Ridgway was finally linked to the murders and apprehended. The role of forensic evidence. Forensic evidence played a crucial role in finally linking Gary Ridgway to his crimes. Early investigations struggled without reliable physical evidence, but as DNA technology advanced, breakthroughs were made. In the 1980s and 1990s, investigators collected semen samples from the victims' bodies, which were preserved for future testing. In 2001, DNA from Ridgway was matched to evidence found at the crime scenes using genetic profiling techniques. This forensic evidence, combined with witness testimony and Ridgway's eventual eventual confession cemented his guilt. The case highlighted the vital role of forensic science in solving cold cases and securing convictions. Breakthroughs and key leads. The breakthrough in the Green River Killer case came with advancements in DNA technology. In the early 2000s, detectives re-examined old evidence using newly developed genetic testing methods. DNA found on the victims' bodies was compared to suspects in a database, but it wasn't until Ridgway's DNA was linked to the crime scenes in 2001 that investigators made a breakthrough. Key leads also came from witness statements and Ridgway's own behavior, including his repeated visits to the dump sites. These developments led to his arrest in 2001 after years of painstaking investigation and dead ends. The arrest of Gary Ridgway. Gary Ridgway was arrested in November 2001 after DNA evidence conclusively linked him to the Green River killings. Authorities had been monitoring Ridgway for months, collecting his DNA through a covert saliva sample. Once the match was confirmed, Ridgway was taken into custody. During questioning, Ridgway initially denied involvement, but later confessed to murdering 49 women for nearly 2 decades. His arrest marked the culmination of a massive investigation that had spanned years. Using groundbreaking forensic techniques. Psychological profile of Ridgway. Gary Ridgway's psychological profile revealed a deeply manipulative and emotionally detached individual. He exhibited traits of a sociopath, showing a lack of empathy and remorse. Ridgway claimed he killed to satisfy his sexual urges and to rid society of sex workers. His calm demeanor and ability to maintain a normal life as a married man for years suggested a chillingly organized and methodical mindset, allowing him to evade capture for decades. Legacy and impact on law enforcement. The Green River Killer case revolutionized law enforcement's approach to serial crimes, emphasizing the importance of DNA evidence and forensic science. Ridgway's capture spurred improvements in cold case investigations, leading to more efficient use of genetic databases. His case also highlighted the critical need for interagency collaboration, shaping future strategies for tracking and apprehending serial killers. Lessons learned from the case. The Green River Killer case taught law enforcement valuable lessons about persistence, the importance of forensic technology, and the need for interagency cooperation. It highlighted the critical role of DNA evidence in solving cold cases, demonstrating how advancements in genetic profiling can bring justice decades later. Additionally, the case underscored the importance of focusing on victimology and the vulnerabilities of marginalized individuals, such as sex workers, often overlooked in investigations. Ridgway's case also served as a reminder of the psychological complexities of serial offenders, encouraging deeper understanding and more effective investigative methods in future cases. The Green River Killer's reign of terror spanned nearly 2 decades, leaving a profound impact on victims' families and law enforcement. Gary Ridgway's capture and confession closed a dark chapter in history thanks to breakthroughs in forensic technology. His case reshaped criminal investigations, emphasizing the power of DNA evidence and victimology. While Ridgway's actions remain a chilling reminder of human cruelty, his arrest serves as a testament to justice's persistence and the evolving tools that aid in uncovering the truth. Thank you for watching. The Green River Killer's case shows how justice can prevail even after years of uncertainty. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel Court Capture for more in-depth crime investigations. Stay tuned.